Hey guys, before we start today's episode, I want to bring in our sponsor, RussHamer.com. He's basically offering his services as a personal philosopher for you, and he's offering philosophical counseling. And what philosophical counseling is Russ approaches life's problems with you with an open and critical mind. His counseling focuses on using our rational abilities to critically evaluate the principles and concepts that shape our thoughts and beliefs. You can check him out at RussHamer.com. And what's really cool about it is he charges you based on whatever you make a year. He takes, so if you only make a little bit of money, he only charges you a little bit of money, that kind of thing. So it's really cool, really fair pricing. He teaches philosophy at Wright College. I've known him since college. Absolutely amazing guy. Philosophy has been his life since he's a kid. Again, check him out at RussHamer.com, your own personal life philosopher. And our music intro for today is from Marshall Sinclair. I've known Marshall from high school, and extremely talented rapper and musical artist. You can check him out at sinclairoo.com. Our song we'll be playing is called William Martin in It. Really cool stuff if you like rap and like the underground rap scene. It's pretty cool. And real quick before we go into our show with the wonderful Cheryl Texera, who's been on the show multiple times, and she's got a wonderful recurring on Girl Meets World and an upcoming horror film called Hoax with Brian Thompson, who I am mildly obsessed with. She's awesome. I'm so glad she came on the show again. But big thank you to our listeners who have donated on Patreon. Seriously, thank you so much. Your monthly donations help cover, our basically recording expenses for the studio. And if you love the podcast and you want to have it to be free, continue to have it to be free without charging, $1 a month, $2 a month, whatever you feel is fair or you want to give, or like a flat donation fee, we'd greatly appreciate it. Again, it goes strictly to recording fees to make sure that this show stays free for you guys so we can keep bringing on these awesome artists and actors. I can't express to you guys how much I thank you. Seriously, this whole podcast is for you guys. So much love. And without further ado, Cheryl Texera.
I dream big to my detriment. My life is served over samples. I'm just trying to live without consequence. Keep scales tipping like Shamu, so excuse delusions of grandeur. I son and serve them like Sanford. Await wise men, still move with gifts like Donner, Blitzen, and Prancer. If I fall, I'm gone in November. So on God, I'm watching my temper. But it's hard enough when they're dumb as fuck and they're basing marriage off gender. I ball community center. I ball third eye in the center. That's hard work meets sight, and that vision mixed with contender. That right swiping on Tinder. Heard you like hype to my listeners. Since we crash landed, that man who stammers has something to say about visitors. Keep your mouth closed and don't say nothing. Men without souls is out there hunting, seeking counsel for every household and keep accounts frozen. You still frontin'. Tailor pieces and see polices and arrest gets made and I see their courts, but the judge absolves. See, no, we ball. You should see the chains at EA Sports. Her baby boy, Jay's baby girl, and Kendra Singh gave the warmest heart. Don't get it twisted. Don't need a chip it to lean in and make things fall apart. Yo, I ain't been home in a minute, cooking on the stove in a minute. Nah, I ain't talking about crack, I'm just talking about raps, and I push a little soul when I'm in it, little rock and roll when I'm in it, gon' rock a show when I'm in it. Get it, dig it, see if it's dope like kids. I'm light as the breeze, I'ma think I'm Billy Joel when I'm in it, in it, in it. I ain't been home in a minute, cooking on the stove in a minute. Nah, I ain't talking about crack, I'm just talking about raps, and I push a little soul when I'm in it, little rock and roll when I'm in it, gon' rock a show when I'm in it. Get it.
We are live with Cheryl Texera.
What's up?
Thanks for coming back on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I know. This is like the fourth time I've introduced you, I think.
You know what? Someone heard it for the first time, though. And that's what's important.
That's what's important. We are live during the most viewed presidential debate, I heard.
Yes. We have a tendency to podcast together during very heavily advertised and televised events.
Do we really?
Yes. We also did the Super Bowl one time.
Oh, my gosh.
And now we're doing the debates.
Oh, well, I think that's a sign.
Oh, what? A sign of?
I have no clue.
It would have been really great if I just yes-anded you and said something witty, but I didn't have anything, and I wanted to hear what you were thinking.
I've been running a little slow lately from coming back from my trip for some reason.
When did you get back?
It's been about a week or so. Mm-hmm. I'm just still running slow. I slept most of the day yesterday.
Oh, honey. I've been back for like 3 weeks, and all I've been doing is sleeping and eating.
there's something like whenever you get into the nap zone and like, you know, you wake up, you eat, and then you're like, oh, I think I can nap again. And then you're like binge watching Netflix, and then you're like, I can sleep again. Good night.
Yep. It's game over. I've been on my couch for a number of hours straight.
Do you think your body is like telling you need to heal or you need rest? Because I've read some articles about that, like certain types of artists or like athletes, they can go periods of time with very little sleep, like weeks, and then but after that they have to like just binge on sleeping and just resting and stuff like that. So it comes in waves. I don't know if it's like that for you.
For me, I would say the first week, maybe the first week and a half, but now I'm just lazy. Now it's just straight up. And might be like borderlining depression now, because after a shoot, you always kind of fall into that slump of like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Especially when you're on a crazy busy schedule where I don't know how your Chicago shoot was, but for mine it was 6 weeks of 14-hour days. We had off on the weekends, but typically we would be doing something social, either, you know, some sort of barbecue at someone's house because we were always on location, or some sort of press thing. There was always something to do, and now I'm back here and it's like nobody needs me.
Oh my gosh. So just to clarify, this was for Hoax, right?
Yes. Oh, this was
Colorado.
for the horror film Hoax, yeah. Written and directed by Matt Allen.
Matt Allen.
Co-written.
So did you work with Brian Thompson? Mm-hmm. Okay. This is a kind of a weird thing, but I saw him when I was a little kid on a very not everybody knows about this, but it's a vampire show called Kindred the Embraced.
I love it.
Do you know about this? Do you know about this, Gabe?
No, I wish Brian was here, though. Oh, my goodness. He would have a story.
Oh, my gosh. I want to bring him on just to talk about that now.
You should.
It was the coolest show I've ever seen in my life.
I would have 100%. I would have reached out to him 100%. I will reach out to him.
It was like 90s. Pure 90s feel to it in the best way possible. And it was about vampires, and you're just like, whoa.
I love it.
I was a little kid. I was like, these vampires are cool.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh, man. He's great.
He's cool to work with.
Great. He has so many stories.
Yeah.
And what I love about him is that he's just always ready to share.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So,
cool.
yeah, he's really open about like, and it's hilarious. He's so funny.
He was Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which was the first film I saw in theaters ever.
Oh, man. I
was in 5th grade, blown away.
Is that really why you did the interview with me? To kind of coax me to get Brian on? You just needed to ask.
I thought Brian was coming with you. That's why we had this thing.
I love it. Oh I wish I knew.
No, it's just amazing. Like, and I'm sure you could attest to this with like the people you've worked with like throughout your career. You know, some of them you've watched growing up, and so it's just you're like, oh wow, like this is such a cool thing. Like now I'm working with this person.
Yeah, my two were Cloris Leachman and William H. Macy.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was a fool. In front of Danny DeVito. I think because he struck me the most.
Yeah.
Because like growing up, like, are you kidding? Like Twins and like the Taxi reruns. Like that was just, and I was the most uncomfortable with him.
Yeah.
The most, yeah.
Which, by the way, great job on Always Sunny. I just started watching it.
Oh,
like I've binge watched all the seasons so far on Netflix.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know why I've been missing out on it.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious.
It really is. Like they improv, I could tell a lot on the show.
They're brilliant.
My friend Dean Cameron did like an 80s episode thing, an 80s ski episode or something. It was season 11, I think. On the show.
Goodness.
I don't know if you've seen that season yet. And he was telling me the way they work is they're constantly like throwing out ideas during shooting and stuff. So I don't know what your experience was like.
My experience, because I've done the 2 episodes and the scenes that I was in, it was pretty tight.
Yeah.
Because it was really like to move the story, like this had to happen in order for the story to make sense by the end. But within the lines that we had, this last episode that I was on, there was a lot of riffing. There was a lot, and I think that was another reason why I really I went into my shell this last. I don't know why.
Right.
But it was they were just so funny and so on top of it, and they're so in their element and in their zone, especially working together as long as they have. Yeah. So
that's got to be you've got to be well trained as an actor then to keep up with them. It sounds like, and like be well versed in improv and stay in the moment and
Yeah. I would say with my experience, like it wasn't so much the improv, it was more of, but it was at the same time because of how odd I was. But it's also knowing your place, I think, in a show like that. Because it was kind of the same with Parks and Rec. When I did that, they would riff, but you really need to know if you as the actor are supposed to. Even if you're great at it, like they might have their rhythm, but they're still expecting you to stay on your lines in order for their lines to still bounce off of each other and make sense for the script and the story. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something I experienced of really like being present in the moment is, in this shoot in Chicago as well. And just being more comfortable in my skin and just being ready to work, like I'd worked previously in Chicago earlier this year on a pilot, and there was a lot of excitement that went with it, right?
Yeah.
For this time around, it was very different. It was more just being ready to work. I want to work now. Like, it's great, traveling is fun, whatever, but no, this is time for work.
Totally.
And it was just a very different experience. Now with Hoax, you were saying you had long hours and you were doing stuff
but I
afterwards.
kind of want to, I just kind of, you touched on it, so I'm like, drive it home. Like, what are you talking about? What was so different compared to when you were earlier this year when you worked versus now? What was so different?
Well, I felt like I was doing good work the first time around, but this time it was just more of I'm just more present, and I don't know how to explain that other than the sense of like, do you meditate at all? Mm-hmm. So you have those moments where you're really aware, like I'm breathing in, out, and that's the only thing like that matters. Like that's the only thing that exists right now in my mind, and that's what it was like shooting in like the courtroom scenes or like the action sequences that we had. I was just really present in the moment. Like no matter what else was going on outside of my life, it was like, no, this is the moment that matters.
Yeah.
And it was much easier to get there for a variety of reasons. Maybe I was meditating more. I was doing more yoga at the time or whatever,
Totally.
I was more closely connected to the character perhaps. I don't know what it was, precisely, but maybe all those things played a part in it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, that's a show.
Well, did it make the days go by easier for you by being so present, or were you more drained at the end of the day? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, when I go back and forth, but sometimes when I am that present, when I get home, I notice I'm also more tired because I was so in the moment and all of my focus and energy. But yeah.
I've had a different experience.
Interesting.
There were some scenes where I am in the scene, but I don't have any lines. And it's there's a bunch of courtroom scenes or whatever. And so I'm in the courtroom, but I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
And there would be like 12, 13, 14-hour days or a day where I didn't have any lines. And I would just have to be present and react, like be with that. And those were the most tiring days.
The most tiring.
I left going,
yes.
Oh my gosh, I am exhausted. And then there were other days where I had lines the whole day.
And it's totally different. Yeah.
I was fine. I was like, I was tired, but nothing like those days.
Yes.
It's the weirdest thing, right?
Yep. Yes. 100%. It's so funny. I just did this. It's a short. It's actually a spoof on Star Wars. And it's my friend plays Luke Skywalker, and I am interviewing him.
Yeah.
And it's basic. It's kind of like a riff on his stand-up bit that he has with this. So a lot of it was like him doing a stand-up, which was like his monologue.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to be present and be there for him. But I noticed like we hit lunch, and I was like, I am ready to take a nap. It's because you're putting so much energy out for, like, you want to give the other person so much of your energy. But the words, in a weird way, in my experience, like, I've literally been told that I hide behind words because you can almost, you can conserve your energy because you're putting out a different energy. You're putting out a verbal energy. So you're conserving. Yeah.
Interesting.
Isn't that
very interesting?
Yeah. But that's so fun. That's so funny. I just had that experience like yesterday or the day before.
That sparked something then in me while you were saying that. Maybe why I was more present. I was having an acting meeting with my friend Josh Adams, Isaiah Adams. He's been on the show before, and I was telling him about this MMA like trainer, like coach, and he was saying how like 90% of a fighter's training at this level should be just stamina, just endurance training. 10% should be technique. The rest of it should just be like, how long can you last? Because at that point, you should know how to throw a kick. You should know how to throw a punch. You should know how to throw an elbow and throw somebody down, all the technique stuff. It should be how long you can last at that point. And so I was like, okay, this is a really interesting perspective on fighting. How can I take that towards acting in a way?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking less and just reacting. If that makes any sense at all. Like
Totally.
I've been acting now for over 15 years. So it's like, okay, I got it down. Like if I know my objective, I know what to do and how to react if I want it bad enough, you know?
Yeah.
And then how are the stakes high enough? So just being really present and trusting that my reaction is, I'm not trying to do a good or a bad reaction or the right and wrong reaction. It's just the reaction.
Right.
If that makes any sense at all.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
This is
really learning. It's such a learning process. I feel like now I'm starting to.
Oh, and you're just totally in it just to be like, what else can I learn?
Yeah. I was telling Josh just the other night, like now I'm actually feel like I've started to really get an understanding of what it is to act.
May I say something?
Please.
I think there's also a part of you that you love to intellectualize things. So you're removing yourself in a sense to observe the whole thing and really dissect because you're a great actor. You know how to act. It's almost like the technique is it's not even a thought for you anymore because it doesn't need to be because you naturally know your instincts and know what to trust and
right.
You're always present in scenes that it's almost like sometimes it's really nice to be like, great, I know all of that. What else? What else can I? Maybe it's almost like taking yourself out of it and just observing from a completely outsider's point of view.
Yeah. There's a spontaneity to just not thinking about it too much either. Does that make sense? Like there's little acting surprises that happen.
Of course.
Which are pretty cool.
Yeah. I've also caught myself when I'm kind of just not totally, when I'm like, oh, I'm just reacting. I'm not even on camera where I'm just like, I just completely zoned out. I should check back in. I'm not being a great scene partner. Oh, it's bad. It's bad. But what you're saying is, have you thought of directing? Because everything that you're learning really could apply to a great director.
I love directing. I've done a little bit, but it's definitely something like it's on the side for now. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I want to do more with acting for right now.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of selfish in that stance where if I'm going to be directing something, I also want to be.
You want to be in
it. Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I get why Ben Affleck does it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's got to be such a tough job. Like, I want to watch Argo again because I remember watching and going, holy crap, this guy
so good.
Not only acted pretty well in it, you know?
That was such a good movie.
But the directing of it was so good because you knew already what was going to happen. You knew the ending, but that he still was able to build tension towards that. And I'm like, holy shit, that's really good, man.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. I want to get back to Hoax real quick. Sorry.
Let's get back to Hoax.
No, I just, those long hours. Isn't there something amazing about working outside of LA and like traveling for work? Not that there's anything wrong with LA. LA is wonderful to work in, but whenever you get to travel for work, it's a whole different experience.
Oh my God,
right?
it's like candy. I get so excited. Well, what was really special for me with this was my first. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is my first online on location shoot that's outside of Los Angeles, where I did have to travel. Like I've traveled for projects before, but this was my first one where I actually left for 6 weeks and was in a cabin, on location in the woods, in the mountains, 10,000 feet up, man.
And do you have any pictures on Instagram that you've posted?
Oh my goodness. I have a ton. Yeah.
I'm going to creep on you for a little bit after the show. So.
Creep on me. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was great. And it was beautiful. Like every day was like a new set where it was just stunning and the scenery was gorgeous. We filmed in American Basin. We filmed at this guy's ranch, essentially, where he owns, I don't even know how many acres of property. And we would just like drive up, and it was stunning and amazing. It's going to be, I keep saying, it's going to be the most beautiful horror film you'll ever see. That's how gorgeous it is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for that.
Oh, yeah.
And congrats as well to Girl Meets World.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's a wonderful feeling when people bring you back to a show. And
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm in love with them.
Yeah.
I love them. And
Why?
it's just because they're amazing. They're such a family. I say it all the time. I sound like a broken record. I know that. But it is such a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that I get to be around people who are wonderful and nice and funny and sweet, it's such a treat. It really is. So, yeah. And right now, we're in season 3. My character just got married to Ryder Strong's character, which was awesome. And we're hoping that we get a season 4. Knock on wood.
I hope so
crossed.
too. Yeah, absolutely. And it's on the Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if season 3 is on Netflix, but I know the first 2 seasons are on Netflix.
Okay, gotcha.
You can check it out. Yeah. And then if you miss anything, the Disney Channel does reruns all the time, or you could get it on Disney On Demand.
That's awesome.
Ooh.
Now I remember we talked about this a while ago, but we've had some listeners who are starting to get to that point in their career where they're getting recurring roles and they're getting
That's great.
bigger. Yeah. And this was your first time you've hired a PR company, right?
Yes. Was it my first time? No, it was my second. It was my
time, okay.
My first time I hired. It was a very tiny PR company.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you walk us a little bit with your experience with this time around?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what to people? The questions
like what to expect.
Yeah, what to expect and what your realistic expectations should be as an actor.
Okay.
Like, obviously, don't expect to go on Conan the very first time you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so basically, they reached out to me because they rep one of the people on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this storyline of the wedding coming up. So it really worked out well. Unfortunately, I only got to work with them for a very short time because I was flying out to Colorado. So there's a lot of in-person press that I probably could have gotten had I been able to work with them a little bit longer and been in town.
Yeah.
But seeing that wasn't the case, it was a short little stint, but it was lovely, and they got some really great online outlets to interview me, and and there was a bit of plugging not only of Girl Meets World, but also of the web series Confessions of, which was awesome, and I love sharing information about that. So yeah.
Do you think it's important for the actor to I had to do this after the first couple of times when they're like, so tell us a little bit about the show or tell us about your character. I was like, yeah, I've played this person a long time now. Like, why can't I just talk about it?
Isn't that so funny? That happened to so I've been lucky in the sense that people have reached out to me for interviews and for some either radio shows or something that simply were fans of the show and liked my character and wanted to interview me. So that I had like my riff once working with the PR company, but prior to that, totally. I still I don't even, there's one interview that I can't even listen to that afterwards I said, I need to take a shot before any interviews from now on. Because I got so anxious when he was like, so tell us about your character. And I was like, I don't, just, the character. You watch the show. And I could not formulate a sentence that made sense as to what her character was. But now I've got it down.
I know that feeling, and there's nothing worse for as an actor going, oh my God, I look like an idiot right now.
Right.
Or you feel like that at least.
Right.
I've been to events before, and people have asked me what are you doing here? I'm like, oh, I'm here for the event.
Yeah. You're like, I'm here. My publicist got me in. That's why. So I came. If they get me in somewhere, I'm gonna come.
It's like, Like, tell us a little bit about the organization. Well, you guys know.
You
know. You just want little
Man.
bites for your YouTube video.
I know.
Can we ask some of them are good and they ask like a really interesting question
Yeah.
and you can like talk off that.
Yeah.
But some people I'm like, oh, this is really hard to talk about over and over again. And like I'm hearing the person they just interviewed
Yeah.
say the same thing. They ask me the same thing, and the person who just they're all saying the same thing.
Yeah, and the
It's
other
so
thing is
weird.
the two things that I've really walked away with in my experience is one, don't expect anybody to hold your hand because I felt like someone will be like, all right, let's just do a quick rundown, some interview questions, and make sure that you've got it all covered. That is not. Nobody's got the time for that.
No.
Come up with your own questions that you think people might ask. Ask yourself, interview with yourself, and make sure that you aren't bumbling or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I completely forgot the other one. So no. Oh, the other one is treat every interview as if it's the first time that you're being interviewed. Because I recently, go ahead.
No. I was just going, what does that mean exactly?
Not the first time that you're being interviewed, but the first time that you're getting the questions. Be as excited as you were the first time that you got to speak about it. Because I'm blanking on the actress's name, but she was promoting some book, and I went from... I don't even think I changed the channel. I think I literally had the channel on at 7, and she was on a morning program at 7, and then at 7:30 she was on that same networks and next program, same exact questions. But if I happened to shut it off, I would have seen one of them and not the other one, or vice versa. And she had the same gusto, and I was like, "Get it, girl."
That's really good tip. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Because you can get kind of as an actor like almost bored talking about
Oh my
the
God.
character after the 30th time.
And we've seen it happen. I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes you see some actors do get tired, and it's like, oh, this is so boring. Like, give me some new questions, and it's kind of like, well, their readers want to hear these questions, and they're not looking at
Right.
50 other. But then again, I'm also not Julia Roberts, and I don't know how many times she's been asked the same question
Right.
over and over and over again.
It's sometimes funny to watch like YouTube, red carpet like interviews, and one of the best people to watch is Tommy Lee Jones.
Really?
Like or actors who have been in the business for a long time and they just don't care.
Oh,
just,
they don't care.
They'll be like, yeah, this is what it is, and all right, you good? And you're
Yeah.
like, I feel so bad for the interviewers.
know.
I'm like, oh man, they're like so nervous. Like,
Totally. Especially because like that interviewer's like, please give me good tape.
Really?
I want to get hired again.
that'd be a funny character to do, like somebody who's trying to be a journalist in LA.
Totally. It's
Such
a fun bit.
Listeners, get on it. We'd like to see that
We'd
YouTube channel.
like to see it. So I didn't even realize this is the Facebook Live. I've had the back of my head the whole time. Sorry about that.
Oh,
I've got another camera over here that I've been paying attention to. Go ahead.
Gabe, how many cameras do we have on right now? It's just the one? We have 3. We have 2.
But the Facebook Live, if people are tuning in,
They're tuning in
it's
live.
a little like, come on, Cheryl.
They get
with the program.
No, I love doing the Facebook Live stuff, and it's really changed the way people are communicating now. And a lot of these Facebook, I don't want to say stars, but people with a huge following on Facebook now, I mean, they're garnishing like tens of thousands of views on Facebook, and they don't need to go upload anything to YouTube anymore.
That's
they're
great.
strictly moving to the Facebook Live feed, which I think is cool too.
I've periscoped since our podcast on periscoping.
Oh, are you still periscoping?
Should I not anymore?
No,
Is it
no.
really Facebook
No, I
Live
was just
now? Is that really what I just learned today?
I've moved to Facebook Live.
So you were periscoping.
I was,
and now no longer.
Because Facebook Live just makes it a lot easier, if that makes it any
How
sense.
so?
It's all in one place. I don't need a separate account.
But with Periscope, it still deletes the video quickly enough, doesn't it?
Nope, keeps it now.
Oh, that's awful. I thought it was delete. No. I don't want people. No. So I have to delete them. I got to get rid of some stuff.
What are you periscoping, Cheryl?
No, it's just like, like when you're in the moment and you're like, oh, just kind of like, let's chit chat. And I love periscoping and I love I love the fans that like tune in and ask questions and chat with me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my God, I love it. So can you do that on Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely. There's like a little, you see their comments
You do
below.
see their comments.
Yeah, and they give you like reactions.
So if you had your camera the other way, you'd be seeing their questions
Right.
popping. Oh
Absolutely.
my God, Facebook Live.
And they don't just give you hearts; they can give you reactions, like
Ooh.
different types of.
Like they're angry.
Yeah, like.
They're sad about something. I love it.
Exactly. Oh, I missed you, Cheryl.
I missed you too.
Wasn't that a great event that we went to earlier this year? The Actors Green Room, I believe it's called.
It was. Everyone was really very passionate and very into it, and I loved it.
Very so. And I still laugh whenever... I'll say it. I think I've brought it up on the show before.
Have you? Because I don't think you have. Have you?
I'm going to bring it up now, I guess.
Well, let's put a disclaimer. We love the Actors Green Room.
Absolutely.
And we love everyone attached to it. There was just one funny moment in their LA meetup that we happened to go to, which was incredibly awkward, and we love awkward humor.
Yeah, and by the way, yes, everything you said, love it, but I have to say the story. So It was a live feed with their New York meetup.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like LA group Skyping with the New York group, and the leader of the LA or the New York group was talking via Skype to the LA group, and there was a communication error, and like it was like cutting in and out.
It was like, we said and we are so
and the secret is
yes
to forever, and then like it's like
wait for it. So okay,
and then like I'm like, oh man, like I really wish I could understand what she's saying.
Yeah.
And I look over, and there's like a few people like nodding their head, like they're able to hear this.
God bless them.
And it was such an awkward moment, and I love moments like that. I started laughing, like shaking in my seat, and you were laughing with me. I'm like crying. At the moment. Oh.
It was one of those moments where you know how ridiculous this is. Like someone easily I know that they didn't want to, but all it would have taken is like, all right, this isn't working out. We're going to figure this out on the side, and we're going to continue our live demonstration here. And that wasn't happening. And yeah, we looked around a room where it's like nobody wanted to acknowledge what was actually happening. So you just had a lot of people like,
like nodding. Yeah, I totally get what you're
like,
saying. And
do
you?
Stop it.
Do you get what she's saying? Because I don't. I can't hear her.
Knows what's happening.
There was a guy. I went on a Mediterranean family cruise with my brothers and my mom and dad, and we were taking tours in different cities, and one of them was in Italy, and we were taking a tour through this town, and we went through this shop owner who made these like really intricate wooden boxes, and God bless him, I feel really bad to the day what happened, and
oh no,
he had a very unique English accent because he was trying to talk in English, and he would pronounce words like overly pronounce them. So like he would say polyester, like I'm not even like exaggerating, like that strongly. And I was like, it just hit me in my giggle bone. I'm gonna say that. And I start laughing, and I'm like shake, and I'm trying to keep it undercover. And my mom's next to me, and she keeps like hitting me, and that's making me laugh uncontrollably. And my brothers are there, and they're laughing too.
And you're a nice person.
I'm a nice person.
You're like, you simply find the situation funny. You're not mocking the man.
No, but
you're simply, And
because like I shouldn't be laughing, I'm laughing even more.
Of course.
And I feel that creep up on me on set sometimes.
How do you do at funerals?
Oh, well, that was dark.
My mind to be like, set, it's all good. We get silly. But funerals is really where I'm curious. How do you do?
I've only been to 2 funerals.
Okay.
Isn't that weird?
So you've been very blessed.
Yeah.
A lot of people have.
I don't think it was very somber. I don't think like.
Well,
do you laugh at funerals? Is that why you asked?
No. But people who tend to giggle at inappropriate times, like I feel like that's kind of.
Now the next time I'm at a funeral,
you're gonna think of this moment. You're gonna be like, "Damn it, Cheryl."
So we haven't seen each other since the green room, the actors' green room.
Really? I thought that we saw each other after that. We
Did we?
did.
We
Yeah,
did?
once or twice we saw each other after that. I feel
Okay.
but it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
For you, this
Mm-hmm.
year has been a really interesting year in terms of growth and my perspective on time. Usually, I felt like it would like 3 months. These last 3 months felt like a year for some reason.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know how it's been for you and what type of growth you feel you've had throughout the year.
Well, I'm curious to hear yours first.
What do you mean?
I don't know. How was your growth? How has your year been?
It's been time. First of all, has been moving at a really weird pace for
Really?
me.
Fast? Slow?
Slow.
Really?
Like the
That's
last
great.
3 months. But then when I really sit down and think about it, I'm like, oh, it's only been 3 months, but it felt like much longer.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of growth, I feel like being present in the moment is really, I'm starting to do that much more often. Just really, whether it's a good or bad moment, just kind of soaking in it.
I love that.
So yeah, and it's allowing me to soak up more information doing that,
Yeah.
especially in acting.
Interesting.
Very interesting. And I can't articulate it very well. And I know that for a podcast, of course, that's wonderful not being able to
You're
articulate
like,
your feelings.
Great.
No, but
We can see the
I've been
expression
reading
on
too
your
much
face.
Buddhism. I think so. Maybe
Can
that's
you
it.
read too much Buddhism?
I don't know. Maybe that's it. And I'm just reading a lot about like meditation and being present and focusing on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good or bad situation. So yeah, that's where I've been. Yeah. I don't know.
I will say this year it's been less about I feel like career lessons for me and a lot been about life lessons.
Ooh.
I think I've learned I think God's really been teaching me quite a bit about life and relationships and people and stuff.
That's great because as an actor you have to know about life
Yes.
as a human being.
You do. And in your career, you need to know how to work with different people and whatnot. That's for sure.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So
Very, very true.
yeah. So that's what I've been.
Now, do you find yourself, do you collaborate with other people quite often?
I love collaborating.
How do you, when you butt heads with somebody, let's say you have conflicting views, how do you usually go about overcoming that or solving a problem with somebody you have totally conflicting views with?
I think it depends on the project and my role in it. Because if say I was on Confessions and I just wasn't, if it's my own project and I'm not getting along with the person, I don't really see me working with them very much longer. Because there does come a point where it's like but I think that's a lot of people. When it comes to I'm thinking of a very specific situation. It was someone not an actor. It was on the other side of the table on the last series that we were doing, and the way that they worked was rather unprofessional. And I got a couple I don't know if complaints would be the right word or, you know, sideways comments about it. And I was aware of it and I personally experienced it. And then it just worked out that we had another day to shoot and they had blocked out time. And then and then out of nowhere, they were like, oh, well, I'll be there for half of it. And I'm like, that's not how I work. I booked you for the full day. And they were like, yeah, no, but then you could get this other person. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to find my own person. This isn't working anyway. So in that type of situation, there does come a point where you as a business person have to step up and make some tough decisions.
Right.
But when it comes to like fellow actors, I think it depends. If there comes a point where you feel like you have to voice up and you have to stand your ground and you have to say something, say it as eloquently and, as calmly as you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't, feel like I'm rambling now.
No, I'm totally engaged in what you're saying.
I mean, have you experienced that where you've had, I feel like it's been a really long time where I've personally dealt with like an actor confrontation. But when there has been a situation, it's as calmly as possible. Because at the end of the day, if it's not my project and it's someone else's, it's like there's a higher power.
Right.
That
I think absolutely.
Really refer to.
Right. I think that's why it's important, like on a set or on a project, that hierarchy is really important in terms of like who's in charge and whose vision it is. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
I think just to call across the board, I think just being open to communicate, and it's sometimes hard to put like feelings aside, especially in like
sometimes,
especially like whenever like you know the person. I feel like, but communication I think is key. Being very open, making sure that's always clear and concise. I've worked on past projects before, like where I know I'm like, oh shit, maybe I should have voiced myself maybe better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just, I got to learn from this experience and then do better next time. Like, that's the only thing I can do at this point, you know, like reflecting back on it. And I think usually it takes a little bit of time being away from the project.
That's interesting.
Yeah, for me anyway.
Away from the project that had the issue.
Yeah, after let's say you've separated ways with it and you've had problems with like another actor on board or a producer or director or whatever, then giving that time away from that and then coming back to it and being like, okay, what could I have done better?
Right.
I think coming back with that clear mind is usually...
I think, well, it's so interesting that you bring that up. That's why I really feel like this year was about lessons and finding my voice and how to speak up for myself, because not only, I mean, Girl Meets World is like such a wonderful job that I'm just happy to show up to set every single day. And so it's like you can tend to, and I noticed myself that I won't. It's not that I won't say anything. Typically, there's nothing to say, but that's a very dangerous position to find yourself falling into when you start working on other projects. Where speaking up for yourself when it comes to something as simple as either like conditions that you're in, if you're uncomfortable as a person, like you need to be worried about your safety. You need to be concerned about that because other people aren't necessarily looking at that. And if myself, I tend to have, and this is something I know I need to be very aware of and not only work on but implement. I'm happy to have a job. Like I'm happy to just happy to show up to set, man. That if you are placed in a dangerous situation, you need to actually say something like, you know what? This probably is not going to turn out too well for X amount of reasons. Let me speak up right now. And I think a lot of it is it's never what you say, it's how you say it.
Right.
Yeah. I think, and I noticed, a lot. You can ask for a lot, but you need to ask for it in the right way. Yes.
Especially I've noticed where if you need something like on set in terms of like, for some reason I'm almost shy about my hair. Like whenever the hair person's working on my hair. And this time around I wasn't as shy.
Oh, good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just, because I don't want to be disrespectful.
You don't want to be disrespectful.
I'm like, can I just do it myself? Like I can just, so sometimes I'm like, let me just, I got it.
100%.
Yeah.
Hair, makeup, wardrobe with me. I'm going to, because I feel like there is that. It's a respect where it's like, you're a professional, I'm a professional. I wouldn't want you to tell me how to say my lines, so I trust that you're doing everything that you know how to make this look great. And I would say 9 out of 10 times, like that makeup person is going to do a much better job than what I can do in my own room. But sometimes they may not. It could be a newer person. They could still be, training for all whatever it is. But yeah, if you don't feel comfortable at the end of the day, you are going to
right.
Yeah.
Especially like just as an example, I know it's something small, but I'm like, I've got a little blemish like on my neck. Can we cover that up? Like, and they're like, oh, yeah, sure, of course. And it's like,
right. But they aren't going to notice it if you don't point it out.
Right. Yeah. Right. So it's just a little, I think, I totally dig what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's always so comfortable to talk with you, Cheryl.
Yay.
It really is.
You too, man.
This this time around, in terms of when we were talking about like, you know, a lot of you're learning a lot of life lessons, personal lessons, you said.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important to always remember as an actor too. Like there is a life outside of the acting business, and we've mentioned it a lot of times before.
Yeah.
But not holding so much weight what happens to you in the business, and if somebody says something to you, whether it's your casting director or your agent, you know, your value isn't necessarily I don't want to say based off them. Your value isn't necessarily anchored with them. You know what I mean?
At all.
Yeah. They might be giving
when
you
it's one person's opinion.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It's important to take advice and be open to that, but
Right.
don't like if somebody was critical of your performance. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm not going to mention any names, but there was an actor friend just told me recently where a casting associate in the room was filming them for their audition.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, I'm going to go a different route with this character because I feel like that's where
Yeah.
And in retrospect, he wishes he just would have done it that way and to start off like, hey, this is my, you know, he just would, instead of asking for permission.
Instead of asking for
Yeah.
permission. Got it.
And so the casting associate was like, yeah, let's just do it that way. And then whenever his manager asked for feedback,
Yeah.
it was the casting director who responded saying, he was too like contained. He wasn't like big enough for the role. Like, and it's like, well, that's what the casting is. You know what I mean?
Right. There could have been a redirect. You could have just redirected him and been like, okay, that's great.
Absolutely.
Here,
but
we know we're looking for this now. Yeah.
Absolutely. But of course the CD wasn't there in the room, and then
Right.
the manager thinks the CD was in the room, and maybe he had given direction. So the manager relays the information to the other actor saying, hey, maybe you should get acting classes. And so then that's where the actor is like, he didn't say it just like that, but like
Yeah.
maybe you should, you know, like just to get back into the gym or whatever they say.
Totally.
But then as an actor, you're like, oh crap. I thought I was doing good work in there.
Right.
And it's just this simple little thing like that could really weigh heavily on an actor. And it's important to really look at the scenario and realize
Right.
that, hey, if you're doing all the right things,
Right.
like don't hold weight on something on a situation like that. But then of course there is the other side to it. Is like a lot of people lie to themselves and think that they are doing good work when they need to take acting classes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true too. And there is a balance.
Yeah.
It's kind of, there's always being able to have an outside opinion and view of yourself and your work is the healthiest way to go about life, but particularly this business.
Yeah.
Like I know when I'm off my game. I a couple of months ago went on an awful audition because I hadn't been in an audition in a while, and I was like, oh, this is great, and I hadn't done drama in a while, and I just really was milking these 4 lines, taking incredibly dramatic pauses in between them, and I was like, in the middle of performing, I was like, what are you doing? Let's go. But all it would have taken was someone to be like, let's do it again. Let's pace it up. And I would have been fine.
Right.
But they were like, I don't know what that was, but you got to go. So I've also, I mean, you know, we all have a gazillion of them. But it's funny because speaking of your friend shouldn't have asked for permission, I understand both sides of the coin because there was one time where I went in for this show and they wanted an East Coast accent. They were like, that's this character. And I read it and I was like, well, I could kill it with a Southern accent.
Right.
I know this character from the South, upwards, sideways, downwards, everything. So I didn't ask for permission.